Hi folks, this is Jack Spirko with another survival podcast video. Today we're going to talk about trellising and specifically trellising pole beans and climbing beans. What you see next to me here is some Scarlet Emperor beans and some beautiful black crim tomatoes that are just doing beautifully this year for me, in spite of the fact that a lot of my other tomatoes have had blight issues. These have done pretty well. A little bit of fulsome wilt, but nothing much really that's shutting them down. Now, you look at these beans and you think this is fabulous, right? This looks great. Well, here's the problem. See where we have all this extra vine here? And these are all in danger of breaking. Basically, now I'm going to have to train them back down and let them grow on top of themselves, and that's going to limit yields. Well, the problem is that these are great trellises. I got this idea from Mel Bartholomew in his book Square Foot Gardening. These are made from electrical conduit and simple elbows, and they work beautifully, and they're very strong and very sturdy. But by the time you get them in the ground, you're looking at right around a little bit less than 6 feet tall. These beans will grow a lot more than 6 feet. In fact, they'll grow even taller than the solution that I'm going to show you here in a second. But if we had more vertical space up here, we would get a better yield. The other thing is I planted them at Mel's recommended density, which means there's basically 2 rows of beans staggered. So you've got a bean and a bean and a bean and a bean like that down in the ground down there. One real close to the trellis and one further out. But they all compete for the same amount of space going up. And then this netting is actually 7 by 7, so there's quite a bit of space in between the verticals that the beans like to run on. So what I've come up with is a very inexpensive, very easy to install solution, and I'm in the middle of actually constructing one right now. We'll reposition the camera, show you what I'm doing, and show you how you can use some zip ties and bamboo to not only get some more additional vertical space up here, but also to kind of create kind of a double area down here that spreads out and lets the beans do what they most want to do, which is spread out and give you a great yield. Okay, so we're in a situation now where these beans are just beginning to grow. They're reaching up about a foot right now, and you can see the construction that I've begun doing here. All I've done is taken these little guys here. Again, these are the little about 4-foot bamboo stakes that you can get just about anywhere, Walmart, Home Depot. You get a great big pack of them. I'm not sure how many comes in, but it's a big bundle for about $3. So they're a very affordable option. You could also go out and cut saplings to do this with, but bamboo is going to last a lot longer than most saplings because it's very, very resilient. And all I've done is come out, and again, I have the beans planted. You'll see there's a row of beans out here to the front, and then there's a row of beans closer back that are going to go straight up on the trellis. Well, the ones in the front, I've put in a piece of bamboo at each section, and I've brought it up to the trellis netting, put it in the ground about a ½ foot, and all I've done here is just wrap the trellis netting around the tip of the bamboo to hold it. So that's all that's being done there. Then what I realized is I've created this extra space here because these beans now don't have to climb on top of these beans. They both have their own area. One's back here flat on the trellis, one's coming at an angle. So what I did next, once I got up to this point here, was to go ahead and run these vertical, but also still keeping them off of the net, so there's space here. And I've got a little prop here. This is white, and I figured it would make this stand out better. So you can see that this stick comes up, attaches to the netting. That allows the bean to crawl up to this joint, and then this is just held together with zip tie, which I'll trim later. I thought, again, that might actually help you be able to see this. I know this is hard to see because it's small material. But right there, that joint, and then this turns vertical and goes all the way up here. What that allows us to do then, we'll get this out of the way, I don't want to hurt any of my bean plants, is again, train these beans so that they're actually separated from each other. And I'll kind of reposition the camera real quick and show you how I do that construction. It's pretty simple. And then we'll actually do some stuff across the top as well. I do want to show you one other thing. Let me get my white backboard again. This was something kind of clever that I came up with. I actually bent one of these, almost like you would make a snare with, off of a tree. So that it would come out. Let this come up straight and let this go vertical here. And you might wonder why not just run it across this this pipe here. Well, this is one of the problems with this trellis that Mel Bartholomew came up with. It's great for being sturdy. This netting is very strong. It does a great job. But when this metal heats up in the 100-degree sun, it scorches the plant. So you can't run anything up this side of the metal. So we've created another support over here. And that's another reason that I want this extra support up top, because once the beans get to the top, you can't train them across the top of it. Again, they'll scorch really bad with this. So I'm going to go ahead and reposition the camera now, and we'll complete the construction of this little addition to the trellis. So I've got just plain old ordinary zip ties here, nothing really special about them. And come down here about a distance that we want to stay off. First one's a little tricky. When you get up to the top, it actually gets a lot easier. You got a hand free. We'll go there and start trimming these up. I want to give you some advice if you use zip ties on anything. Whatever kind of a cutter you're using, a cutter like this actually has like a dull side and a sharp side. Make sure that the sharp edge is flush against the part of the tie that's actually being cut, so that you cut them off as flush as possible. These things will absolutely, if you don't cut them flush and you run your arm across here, they will cut you open like a piece of barbed wire, if not worse. So I'm not going to trim them all now. I just wanted to make sure I got that in for you. Again, by using the flat side and pulling just a little bit on to put a little tension on them and kind of force it through there, you'll get a very flush, straight cut. What I want to do next is put a couple cross pieces to do two things. One, to give it some structural integrity, and two, so that there's actually even more area for these beans to climb on. Now, I'm not going to worry about trimming these just yet. I'm going to kind of weave them, one in front, one in behind, like that. That'll give it even a little bit more structural integrity. We'll do another one across the top in an opposite weaving pattern. So basically now we're weaving bamboo. My Fisker's pruners out here. We'll use those to scrap somewhere else. And I'm going to clean it up a bit, probably actually put a tie wrap on each one of these, trim it all up, but this is basically what it's going to look like. And again, I'll give you kind of a background so you can see there what that actually looks like. And we'll be using that. That'll give us an extra few feet of vertical climbing space and spreads everything out, and should give us a better bean yield than we're going to get from the beans over there.